Hello.
Hello.
Good night.
Hello. Good night.
Good night.
First
Good
time
night.
on the program.
Thanks. Welcome.
Listen to you also, Chuck. I would just want to understand something. When I heard he said about it's been happening for 20 years, that mean for me it's a not it becomes normalized. It's okay because it's been happening. And I did hear him on another podcast when he said, I don't need politics. I'm just here to serve. Who are you serving? You're serving yourself. That's my opinion. Because you refuse to pay tax that normal Jamaicans have to pay if they're going to clear something on the wharf. They have to pay taxes. They have to pay their duty fee. And you that charging people to use these dialysis machines are getting it tax exempt while you're charging people for the service and you're not paying duty on the machines that you're bringing in. That makes no sense. So you're
Yes,
getting
ma'am.
a double benefit. You're getting a double benefit. Because if you understand about dialysis, sometimes depends on how bad the kidneys are. Sometimes it's 3 times per week. Some of these people have to get dialysis.
Yes, ma'am.
And it ain't cheap. So for you not to pay over $10 million duty, and then you're going to say it's a mistake. How can it be a mistake if you have the knowledge that it has been happening for 20 years and you're going to say it's a mistake? In my opinion.
You know what happened, ma'am?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Here is the allegation. The University Hospital of the West Indies used its tax exempt status and brings in these goods for private individuals. The private individuals sell it back to the university at an inflated cost.
Double whammy.
or they use the equipment in contracts with the University of the Hospital of the West Indies, ma'am.
Yep, that's how they do it.
Huh?
That's how they do it. Because
so you want to tell me that I bring something in for you. You don't pay any duty on it.
No.
And you sell it back to me at a markup price?
Yeah. And for me,
I mean, hold on, man. The entire Jamaica should be up in arms about this.
Yeah, man, we should be outraged. We should be. But we are paying.
It is outrageous, man. Huh? Well, that is so true, man. And now we come tomorrow with a grand press conference to take our minds off the real issue. Eh?
When I heard the opposition spokesman on finance said, because he was the one who announced that the money was paid back, right? And when he said it was paid back, so I said that make it okay, because I'm saying, you're supposed to pay duty on these machines. You did not. And if it was not audited and it came out that you are getting duty-free access when you're not supposed to, you would not realize that you owe the people of Jamaica $10.1 million? Really?
Yeah. But let me ask, hold on there for me. Let me ask Chuck Akman. Chuck, good evening to you. Joshua, I see you. I'm coming to you.
Yes, dear.
Chuck, at what point is the government of Jamaica going to be saying something on this matter?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Tufton would have ordered a special inquiry into this matter. I'm only.
Didn't he get a report?
No, I don't think they've given him a report yet. I don't think they've given him. But I'm assuming at the end of that report, then we'll hear from the government, because this is really a crack in the armor and it needs to be sealed up permanently.
Yeah.
And you're 100% correct when you say this is not just isolated to UWI. UWI is the one that we found out about. It is obvious that it must have been going on right across the board. Many other entities are using it. Other people are abusing it.
Yeah, but then Chuck, have we uncovered here a systemic systemic failure, which let's pull it back and take it even beyond politics, Chuck. Don't this system must have to be fixed.
It has to be fixed, neighbor. Has to be. But neighbor, something else that we have to consider too, you know. And I think it's important that now probably the siege of these machines will have to be considered. Because remember, you know, when this machine came, as according to report, as according to Mr. God himself, he was told by custom that he needed a permit. A permit, you know. Now, in an effort to circumvent the rules, he went to the UWI and have the UWI clear the item for him, which means that today, Jack then does not pose a permit to have those machines.
Don't have a permit.
They don't have a permit. That's what I garner from all this. If you went to the UA and say you will clear this for me because them say me need permit and it'll take too long, which means that today you don't have a permit because those were imported in the university hospital's name.
Yes.
So possibly today Jack then does not have a permit to have those machines.
Yes. Yes. Where do you think that this will eventually end up? Because there are questions about it that I wouldn't even want to ask you on here. And I know you're sensible enough to understand. Because when you talk about systemic issues, you know, and cultural matters, they cut across administration.
Yes. Yes. And then let's like now when we discover this one, we take drastic step to plug it. So yeah, the first thing I think needs to happen is that we need to plug this so it never happens again. Secondly, those who are found wanting must be punished. The companies must be punished. The individuals must be punished, neighbor. This cannot sweep under any rug. No paying back our money, no band-aid over the wound. The leaks must be plugged, and those who took advantage of it must be punished.
Yeah, hold on there for me, Chuck. Joshua, good night to you, sir.
Good night, sir.
Do I have?
Great.
How are you doing, man?
I'm sad tonight.
You are sad?
Yeah, not because I lost any human, not because I have any human loss, but it's a loss of dignity, you know, on our noble house that we call the House of Parliament and our noble country. And the reason I put it that way because, and I want people to hear me, including labor rights, this is bigger than politics. This is bigger than politics. First of all, greetings to everyone, wherever you are tonight and wherever this will reach you, whether it be now or later. But this is bigger than politics. This is a systemic assault on not only the nation's institutions, but on systems that should be working for the benefit of the people, right? Assume that when this system was put in place to give the University Hospital of the West Indies a sort of autonomy in terms of a limited amount of items that they could bring in without having to go to the ministry or even go to the region, it was intended to expedite the process, to cut out some of the red tape so that patients, you know, the patients who have to use the facility would have gotten quicker services. However, we realized that persons who were stewarded with the task of protecting the interest of these people, have taken the opportunity to abuse the system that was intended to help, right? And as Chuck said, and I support him fully, and I think you alluded to it, somebody must pay, and not just somebody. All who are involved should pay. There are no two ways about it. And outside of politics and the University of the West Indies, I call into question tonight our morality as a nation, as a people, from all sectors, as it were, because I note that civil society is deafeningly silent. I noticed the chairman of the PAC, as you have rightly alluded to, came out, and it was Honeybee. He was the one that came out and made the announcement of the payment. He shouldn't have been involved in that capacity, right? Because he's the chairman of the committee and the PAC, which means that he should recuse himself in that moment from party affairs, right? He shouldn't excuse himself from the party, but in terms of party-related affair, he should recuse himself and still hold the stance as chairman of the PAC. And now what he has done, he has now compromised himself, because the fact that he came out and made that announcement, he's saying that he has now blurred the line between his role as the chairman of the party, the chairman of the committee, and a party member. And this in and of itself makes it untenable. And what it has now brought into focus for me is that we need to probably look at a system wherein if you have matters such as these, you should have a deputy. And when you have matters such as these, then the one who is connected directly to the party, Can
you get me two of the white bags to put some food in? What, white bags? Yeah.
Right, the one who is connected to the party that is embroiled in such an issue should at the moment, for the benefit of the nation and for the benefit of probity and transparency, recuse themselves from that particular sitting, right? And even if they're there, they should not act in the role of chairperson, because we see a blurring of the lines here, right? And you spoke about the amount that Mr. Gordon. Now I hear the questions being asked over and over by those party connections, asking why is it that we're focusing on Mr. Gordon? The reason we're focusing on Mr. Gordon because he's a lawmaker, right? And the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. Now, if you're there and you're supposed to enforce laws and you are breaching the very laws that you are not only tasked to enforce, but you are there to help to write and to put those rules in place, and you're breaching it, then you should be held to a higher standard than everyone else.
What does accountability look like for you, Joshua? When you speak about accountability, what does it look like?
Accountability in its simplest sense is that the rules that are there for checks and balances and to guide us as to how we should operate, in spite of whether or not anyone is looking, you should abide by the rules. In fact, you should, above everyone else, if you are a part of the rule-making body, should seek to protect it greater than anyone else. And should, in case, God forbid, you make a mistake, and I'm making room now, you make a mistake, you should be the first one to make immediate amends, right? And two, you should familiarize yourself with all of the rules that you are tasked to uphold and seek to protect it jealously. Mm-hmm. That's in the simplest form I can give you, sir.
Okay, great. Hold on there for me. Chuck.
Sure.
Chuck, I'm gonna shift you a little bit to the stress conference that is going to be on tomorrow. Chuck, am I not correct that the crisis that the PNP wants to speak about tomorrow is a crisis that they created?
Neighbor, first of all, let me tell you what tomorrow's intention is now. Last week, they would have sent out one of their surrogates to drop the bomb, you know, to take everybody off Dennis Garden. Now, he came out, he said, drop a boom, yes. He came out now and he said what he said, and it got a little traction, but it is not getting enough. So this press conference tomorrow now is about supporting that narrative. And notice what they frame it as the housing crisis after Melissa, and it's gonna be linked to the person staying in shelter. And you're gonna hear about, yes, that's what tomorrow is about. But neighbor, I said this earlier, and I'm gonna repeat it on your program here for your audience. Questions that need, if we have journalists in Jamaica who are attending a press conference tomorrow, the first question to the PNP is simply this: what have you done to alleviate the stress of the people who are still in shelters? How much money did you collect on your platform that you launched to help the people? Is there any company that is tied to the party leader that is getting a percentage of that money? If so, what is the percentage? Who is presiding over this money? And these are one set of questions. Second set of questions that needs to be asked. Mark Golden,
hold on. You have to repeat the. You have to repeat those, sir. Repeat.
Yes. First question. Who have you helped with the money that you collect in the name of the victims of Melissa? How much money have you collected so far? Is there any company that is tied to the party leader that is entitled to a share percentage of that money? If so, what percentage is that company entitled to, and what is it for? How much money have you collected so far, and who is presiding over the distribution of these funds? These are simple questions that any basic school journalist should know to ask tomorrow at that press conference.
Well, so the press conference tomorrow is supposed to be an interrogation of the PNP, not a stage for their speeches, but for the press to press.
For the press to press them and these matters that they have in front of them.
but do you think that they'll be pressed on these matters tomorrow, Chuck?
I doubt it, neighbor. I doubt it. I wish they could have given me a media pass that I go in and ask a couple of questions. But no, this press conference is gonna be filled with friendly journalists who are just there to listen and report. That's why we say we don't have journalists anymore, we have reporters. So they're gonna go, they're gonna listen, and then they're gonna report. Nothing else.
Okay. So help me with what is the crisis really that we are experiencing in housing in Jamaica after Melissa?
Yeah, but we have the strongest hurricane recorded in history so far. Hit us the other day. And yes, at the beginning of it, there was about probably, I think, close to 600 persons living in shelters right across the island. That number has now reduced to 81. Moved from about 600 living in shelters right across the parishes to now 81. In terms of percentage, that's only like probably well over 80% of the people has gone back home in 6 months. Neighbor, I agree that the assistance is not as speedy as we would like it, but Jamaica has no housing crisis after Melissa. The only person that has not been assisted yet is those who can't. You have several tumbling block white people, especially in Westmoreland, have not been assisted.
Like those who are squatters.
Those who are squatters. Those who that the PNP would have kept
how do you help those people in 6 months, huh? You can't regularize squatters in 6 months.
The first thing is that the Prime Minister said he has ordered an audit of all lands in Westmoreland to see who owns them, who has been living there, and to see who is entitled to them. That is the first thing.
And hold on. That may not be politically sexy, but it is what is required to be done.
It is what is required, neighbor. Yes.
And that is what we have postponed over these many years. Because it is uncomfortable.
Right, yes, and somebody I go ball and we don't want anybody to ball, but somebody have to ball. We have the time now. Let us fix end up here again.
In other words,
this is the problem with the PNP over the years. Rather than run a pipe to your house, rather than run a pipe to give you water, they will buy you a black tank and you have to call them every time it's empty.
Yeah. So Melissa did not cause the problem, Chuck. The problem of housing.
Melissa exposed
what Melissa did was to expose it, eh?
Expose it.
And is it not correct, Chuck, that these communities were represented in Parliament by the People's National Party for decades? Why were they allowed to remain like that?
For generations, neighbor. And these are the people now that can't get help because when you were representing them, you did not take the time out to improve their lives in any way. And now you believe that we had a hurricane and we must go back in and do the same. Build back the same orders, put it on the people and nothing's changed. No, it cannot be. It will never be under my Prime Minister.
No quick fixes.
No quick fixes. Permanent solution is what we deal with.
Hold on there for me, Chuck. Kim, First Lady. First Lady Kim. First Lady Kim. First Lady Kim. First Lady Kim. She's not there. Hello, Kim. Hello, Kim. No, she's not there. Let's jump over to Harry before we jump up back to Chuck. Harry. Harry, this is systemic failure to have helped these people over decades, and now the PNP is describing it as a crisis. Is the crisis not on them?
It is always on them, neighbor. They are the creators of it, right? They in a sense the innovators, right? And that is because it is something in which they thrive on. It is the nucleus of that cell which they have created in Jamaica. Because remember, they're the ones who had to put these things in place in order to quote unquote prosper. Because of course it is party before the country.
You are linking the PNP survival to this culture of this systemic culture of in terms of housing. You are linking the PNP survival to that.
It is, neighbor. It is, because remember, it gives them a level of control, and it is one exercise in which they do to ensure that they have that control by creating dependency in a neighbor. Wield the power over the people's heads, because it is now one in which you've created a situation where the access to advancement, the access to survival, and the access to personal gains comes directly through that systematic setup. And without it, you wouldn't have the People's National Party as strong as they've become over time. Now, that has extended because it's now an institutionalized thing that they do. It's strategic, and it is their main weaponry against the people every avenue you turn. Because what really happens, neighbor, all right? If you don't create something that can control the people, it means you have to then step up to the plate and do something you're not good at. But because they have the art of this, they have passed the mature stage and they've now coined it. and mold it in such a way where they have placed their people right throughout society to ensure that they maintain this stronghold. And Jamaicans didn't know anything else because remember, it came at a time when we were young, when our democracy was young, our governance structure fragile. We didn't really know where to pivot and where to go. We're just learning. It's no different from babies taking their first step in a neighbor. They just step. They don't know what direction they really want to go as yet. But as the adult, you guide that child. And in this case, Jamaica taking the step, which is the people, didn't really know. We've never self-governed before. We don't know what it takes. We didn't have the exposure, the experience, and the technical capabilities. So we lay the tracks as we drive the train. But the People's National Party would have been in power, who in this case would be the adult to guide us because they get the power to do so, to oversee and to ensure that our affairs are in order. They know. And because they want to hold onto that control, they're going to ensure that wherever Jamaica's first steps are taken, they benefit. So they will never lead you anywhere outside of something that they can't govern. And it is one way when you look at the flip side of it to say governance, it's a lazy way to govern. But it is a profitable way if you're looking at party over people. It is extracting the resource from the people by using the said people to ensure that you stay where you are. And you will wield different strategic approaches, right? Whether it is creating a survival mode, you hear them say, we love the poor. Yes. So you ensure people remain strategically poor.
In other words, you're saying that the party benefits from the perpetual informality of these communities.
Right. Because no, what can happen is that...
You are saying yes, sir?
Yes, neighbor. We've seen it.
That the party benefits from the perpetual informality of these communities?
Neighbor, they do 100%. It is not by mistake why they win these areas so strongly, you know. Because the strength in this case, the direct relationship to it is in terms of the strength and where the persons vote in terms of what party is direct correlation as to who can wield the greatest influence. And another word for influence is power.
Yes, sir. You are telling me, sir, that political neglect may be by design?
It is by design. Because
political neglect, sir?
It is, neighbor.
You neglect community because you want to benefit?
Well, let us not say you neglect them. You give them enough to survive. You give them enough to maintain the hunger. And hunger is right across the board, whether you want to take it figuratively or literally for those listening. Because you now have control the gate to satisfy that hunger. So you've now created the very issue while being the very quote-unquote pathway and solution. So they always have to come to you.
You mean
neighbor,
you entrench dependency?
You do. Because if we look at it, when you think you're going to, if you're in these areas, neighbor, you think you're going to vote against a party that promise you, or an individual that promise you that you can get a land title, that your mother, the same house where you grew up in, that your mother was waiting on land title, and they come and you say two persons get one little land title, that gives you hope to say, yes, next election at my time. And before you look at it, 3-4 generations pass, and no land title no run for you. And that
you live in expectation.
Exactly. But you do just enough to entice them, to let them believe. You keep the hope. Because understand this, neighbor. The biggest thing human beings have, and if you take it away from them, they're defeated, is hope. It's as long as you can tug that along, you can feed it and just barely satisfy it to create somewhat form of comfort. Because understand how the comfort comes into play. for example, people in Westmoreland, they know that as long as the People's National Party have that reign over that area, they are secure to a great extent, at least secure for the next 5 years, meaning nobody now can come take them off of the land, right? Because it was promised. And it is not just unique to Westmoreland. It is something the People's National Party have strategically put right across areas in Jamaica that they could have done so. It's just that no, rest of Jamaicans, it have less of a stronghold and it's predominant in that section of the West. So it is not that they couldn't go ahead and elevate these people. They chose not to. It is a situation where it's either you can't do it or you don't want to do it. And in this case, they never want to do it, neighbor. Because they run the risk of these people potentially becoming self-sufficient, self-governing, and also rising in a level where they no longer can comfortably control them. And especially something as living conditions, neighbor, house in Jamaica growing up, all of us here all want a house. It is number one on the bucket list. Nothing else trumps it. Right? And when we look at it, it is a desire for everybody that they want to have that house. Even now with a little change where here people say them want, the first thing they're going to buy one car, the house still remains the number one because it shows a high level of achievement. So it's a status in society. It also brings you relief because you've achieved it. And moreover, it brings you that comfort because you can come home in the evenings and go ahead and say, yes, I am in somewhere that I own. And once the People's National Party have understood that that is what they're doing, they went ahead and ensured they held it tightly, close to the bosom of the party and executed it well for at least neighbor 4 decades.
Wow. Joshua? I don't. Mr. Joshua John? Hello? Hello? No, not hearing Joshua at all. Chuck?
Yes, neighbor.
Is it possible that the very conditions now being described as a crisis are conditions that were politically convenient for decades?
Neighbor, Harry is 100% right. 100% right. From way back in the 70s, you put these people on these lands, you promise them title, and the only way nobody will remove you is as long as you keep me in power. Because I won't remove you, but if you vote for that guy, he will remove you. And that is why Westmoreland has not been loyal for the PNP because they did everything for Westmoreland. You know? It's because they have these people and these lands that they don't really own, but them occupy for generations. So yes, the crisis that is there now is as a result of the PNP's own doing.
That must be discussed at the press conference tomorrow, you know, Chuck.
But Nev, these are questions that it would take journalists to ask. And we don't have journalists going to this press conference. They have people who are going there to sit down, listen, and then report what is said.
Yes.
These are questions, so listen to me. Your party has been in charge of Westmoreland's affair for nearly over 40 years. And these are the people now that the government can't help as fast as they want to because they have no land. They don't own the land. Your party presided over this country for 18 and a half years unbroken. At that time, the Prime Minister was from Westmoreland. The Prime Minister was from Westmoreland. The Prime Minister at the time knew, Mr. Patterson, knew the conditions that these people was living under. But as Harry said, they didn't want to change the condition because it guaranteed them a vote. Now Melissa has come and exposed the weakness, and it needs to be dealt with. Yes, some people will have to be uncomfortable for a while, but it needs to be fixed permanently.
Yeah. Because largely, Chuck, is it not true that $10 billion have been distributed by the government? That is a significant amount of help provided to Jamaicans, enough money that government give to Jamaicans, sir. Just give them,
Just give them out. Yes, neighbor. Lots of people going there. People are getting. People who are in. Remember, one of the things that people need to understand. You see this program, the roof program.
Yes.
It is probably one of the best designed programs for hurricane relief in our history. Because generally, there is assistance for owners. This one includes owners and occupiers. That means that even if you rent one place and it gets damaged, as the occupier, you can apply for assistance to fix it.
Yes.
Normally, you have to find the owner. Sometimes the owner, they are foreigner, you can't get him to sign nothing. This one is designed so even the occupiers of the house can get it fixed. Yeah, so it is wide reaching, it is well thought out, and it is working, right? As I said, government have to dot all I's and cross all T's. So it now go as fast as Shaggy landing a plane and just giving away some things. Or Spice or load up 2 trailers and just go give them away. Spice don't have to report, Shaggy don't have to report to anybody. But the government, neighbor, next week and next month, they're going to sit down in a parliament, and the very same PMP we are saying, oh no, I move too slow, I go ask them who much nail you give away. Why you never count the nail them before you give them out? Same PMP I go ask those questions, neighbor. So yes, it might be slow for some people, but it is how governments work. We have to dot all our I's and cross.
But one of my listeners sent me something here, Harry, about the US government, in terms of how they provided benefits to people through FEMA. Chuck, 6 months is almost a record in terms of how the government has moved at pace, from the hurricane to finding the money to getting it set up to distribute to the people. It's record time,
Yeah, but there are in Louisiana, there is house in Louisiana that is now abandoned. From Katrina. There are people down in Texas almost a year out from the Texas flood. We have not seen any government no business with them. If you don't have no insurance, if you don't have no private insurance, you're depending on your own. Okay? So when we are going to live under dependency that says the government must come build back one house here. No, go so. The government will assist you where it can. The government has been assisting. The government has get the assistance in record time. And again,
to the people, that is so true.
It leads to the management that this country has been under. The management is so good that people never hesitate when Jamaica need help. And if I should compare neighbor, if I should make the comparison, when we had Hurricane Ivan in 2004, it took the PMP 9 months, neighbor, before they could hand out $10,000 to the people that them said they need them helping. 9 months.
Have it up.
Oh, because they had to fly all around the world and beg left, beg right, beg center before they could. 9 months it took them. And these are the ones are crying about 6 months.
But one of the things, Chuck, is, and I always like point it out to people, specifically the neutrals or persons who say they're neutral and those who support the People's National Party. They don't realize it, that they're calling for these things to be done at a faster rate ever before. No other government in Jamaica's history has been called upon to deliver in this manner, right? You know what that speaks to? It speaks to the expectation of the people on this government. They know they can do it. They have all the hope that they deliver, and the same set of people calling for these things to be done in record time, They haven't realized that it is over the decade that this government has been there. It is a creation. It is a growth in the people's mindset that they can expect this government not necessarily to do the impossible, but to do more than what any other government in Jamaica's history has been able to do in terms of less when it comes on to damage, right? Now, when we look at it, they don't know that the government has also transformed their own minds. And that is something tonight. I know when I say that, they will look at it. They won't say, they won't agree, because we sit clearly on the opposite sides of the aisle, especially in thinking. But if you had asked these persons if they would have made these same recommendations and demands on previous governments with similar catastrophes, they would, if they're being truthful, they would say no. But because the standard of governance has been risen, the expectation of this government that yes, they are competent, they have the necessary people that can do the job. We've never had any government so comprehensive before, right? Right across the board. And as such, the demands of these things is another way in which we have to look at it as well. They will never come and agree and accept that that is what is happening, but it is the reality that they are also living in.
Fantastic. Churchill, you want to chime in here?
Yes, to agree with Harry, they're holding this government to a higher standard, which is a credit to what this government has been doing and has done over the years. So we have to look at it in that light, When Chuck was commenting about PJ Patterson, I live in that constituency, Eastern Westmoreland. And you can speak generally of Westmoreland, the whole of the West. It's like that. People, it's just a general situation with the PMP areas. Yeah? Low expectation, poor performance, and the delivery from government, is very, very, very scrappy. So that's the situation in Westmoreland. I see where they're having a press conference tomorrow morning. I don't know if you addressed that yet. I just came here. And what are we expecting? Distraction from all the recent negative news that's been going on in the PNP.
What is the crisis, though? What is the crisis that we have in housing?
The crisis. Well, the truth really, Jamaica need a lot more houses, but it is being addressed. It's not like government can build all the
houses is not patty, sir. Houses are something you have to plan for.
It takes time.
You don't just build a house overnight.
But we don't have the capacity to build the houses overnight. We have the money, but we don't have all the capacity to build out now.
Isn't the bigger problem, though, Churchill, that for years these people have lived in these informal areas, no land reform, and now that they have been displaced, you can't just put them back in these unregulated communities. You don't have to formalize it, which requires accountability, it requires accounting, it requires legal reform, it requires time.
And that's what the Prime Minister speaks to all the time. Trying to regularize the whole thing is going to take time, but as much as the Prime Minister is trying to speed up things, it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes planning. It takes, to execute all that he's trying to do. So, I think the Prime Minister is doing a good job. In fact, he's doing an excellent job. And the people just have to be patient. Be patient. Things are getting better, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little time. Just got to be patient.
Yeah, fantastic. Chuck, let me raise one more question with you before you go, and it is this: that many times, Chuck, in our analysis, we miss the bigger picture, and it is this, Chuck, that any government that can find $10 billion after a hurricane, it's not only 10 billion, because remember, it is 10 billion in the roofs program to assist its citizens. It's a government that has done very well, Chuck. That government don't deserve no criticism. That government needs to be commended. Don't you agree?
Neighbor, it's a credit to the management of this country has been under. But you have to bear in mind, neighbor, is that the persons that are leading the criticism of the government, their standard is different from the standard of this government. So they are criticizing the government based on what they did, based on how they handled it, based on how they steward our affair when they were in charge. That's where their criticism is coming from. They are not trying to elevate the thinking of this country. They are not doing anything to rise the standard of this country. And that's where their criticism is based. Neighbor, this government from 2016 when we walk into the office has done nothing but move this country forward. Crime, health, finance, every aspect, we are now shining on the world stage. And that is what is some people just bad mind because of that. We are shining on the world stage in every aspect. You can look at it, neighbor, and that will not change.
Yeah, and remember now, Chuck, that the government started responding long before this roofs program. This is not only 10 billion that the government has found, Chuck, is billions upon billions of dollars because they have to rebuild, reconstruct road, hospitals, schools. All of that have to be done. What would have happened if we never had the economic space to do it?
The buffers that we put in place, neighbor. Let's not forget the loan to JPS that would have assist with the speedy restoration of electricity. Yeah. Let's not forget that. Absolutely. That game-changing loan to JPS to say, here, go out and get back the people light in a faster time. We will not see. Remember these people about 8 months now, 6 months now? They were willing to wait 8 to 9 months before light could be returned. That's what them say, We can't wait. These are not the persons that were living in the darkness, The ones that had the big mansion to join to, that has generator. Them said them were willing to wait. Luckily, my prime minister was not willing to sit in his comfort while the rest of Jamaica are living in darkness. So he put up, and we have the others now, them can shut up.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for tonight, sir.
Just have neighbor, we're always there.
Cool. Talk to you tomorrow. So, Churchill?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah, Churchill, you said you lived in Westmoreland? Yes. Yeah, there's a view in the discussion tonight that somehow the conditions of these people were allowed to continue because it benefited the party politically. Do you share that view?
Absolutely.
You do, sir?
Yes, I do. There's a saying, there's a saying that I wasn't around at the time, but PJ was prime minister in Eastern Westmoreland. And he came around and asked the people, what do they want? And the answer was, we want PJ. They never asked for houses. They never asked for water. They never asked for good road. Them just want PJ. And I can tell you now, I can tell you no, because people speak of it.
Well, maybe we should send PJ down there. Send PJ go get him.
Yes. So,
he's 91 years old. Oh wow.
I don't know how he can help them now, but
if them say they want him, send him. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
Look here, and people talk about this all the time. PJ, as Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, what is his legacy in that era? What is his legacy in the West? Somebody please point out to me, what can we point to and said, this is great, this was done by PJ Patterson. There's absolutely nothing. And when I say, charity begins at home, innit? Mm-hmm. So I want somebody to point out to me something substantial that we can look at and say, yes, PJ was Prime Minister for over 14 years and Member of Parliament for a longer time. What has he done for that area that we can say, to commemorate his service in that area, to remember him as this great Prime Minister? I'm sure if you go into Edward Saga MP constituency, you can point out things. Or, for somebody who has been around so long, it is a shame that we can't point out to anything tangible, substantial to commemorate the great Prime Minister, PJ Patterson.
Okay. Well, I have to thank you tonight. You hear, Churchill. Catch you tomorrow.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, sir.